Okay, folks, good to see you all again. As you know, I'm Anthony with Signature Roofing, and we are in the Mulligan Hill area today in South Harrison, and we are on a rather large property, 2,900 square feet surface space, so just over 29 squares of roof surface, and you can see that we are very well spread out here. We have most of the front of the house cleaned up already. It's just before 9 a.m., about 10 minutes before 9. We started at 7, and we are on this main slope, which I would consider to be just a bit steeper than what I would consider to be a moderate slope. So you can see that we have used planks throughout the perimeter length. Just want to make sure that our crew is safe, and also that we don't have any tools that are coming off of the roof. You can see that the roof is damp. Again, today is April the 15th. And as they say, April showers bring May flowers. And we haven't escaped that this year. We've had rainfall in 13 of these first 15 days in April. So as you can see, this roof deck is damp. And again, keep in mind that there were 45 wind damaged shingles on this roof surface. So much more than the allowable amount of water was getting behind. We did have some rain today, just a little light showering as we were tearing off. Nothing really to speak of. Again, as we were coming into town today, just stopping at Wawa, seeing a lot of construction folks, a lot of roofers, and with days really being hit or miss, today is Tuesday. We have another job scheduled for Thursday. They're calling for rain on Thursday and Friday. So as it turns out, this may wind up being one of the only good days we have to work this week. And as it normally is the case for Phase 1, I just wanted to show you folks the roof deck. Okay, on this back side, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 penetrations with vent pipes. Then we have this 3-foot chimney stack. We also have 2 hook vents like this, right? And you can see that was the plastic variety. We're going to swap those out for nice brand new metallic ones that'll run in conjunction with the life of the roof. Again, we're going with a landmark full integrity package today from Certainty, the only roof that Signature puts on. There is a 50-year extended and transferable warranty, so we want to make sure that the components are going to last as long. And if you folks remember, we had one pipe collar that was, causing somewhat of a problem. That was this one right here, where the rubber nipple had essentially just, lost penetration. And the other thing that I will say is that if you look, the carpentry here, it's oversized, right? So combination with a gap like that you see here, and the fact that the pipe collar was completely worn out, there was no maintenance done, you just had water that was leaking into the home. But the good news is I'm standing here on that board, and you can see that this board, even right where the pipe is, fully intact. So the good news is that everywhere that we've torn off, which is essentially the entire main, we have not a single board that has any issues whatsoever. We have one small board that, we would normally change out, okay, because there's a small puncture. But the fact of the matter is, this board, as you can see me stomping around that hole, is rock solid. The hole's not any bigger than any of the 5 vent pipes that are coming through. So to change that board, it would really not make any sense to do it. There's no need to do it. And as it turns out, it looks like the entirety of the roof deck, right, is going to be in great shape. You can see in the gap here that the sizing of these beams is 16 inches. And when it's 16 or 24 inches rather, so you can see my tape measure right there, between beams you have a full 2 feet. When you have 2 feet of spacing, you're always going to have these clips, right? And you can see that the clips have been installed correctly. A lot of times we see that we have that exaggerated spacing, right? And we either have no clips or we have clips that are not installed correctly. And what happens is when we do the roof inspection, we assume that we're going to have issues with water rotted boards, in reality, what we have is just exaggerated spacing between the beams in combination with either no clips installed or clips not installed correctly. So we're pleased to report that as far as carpentry, there was already ventilation, so you can see that strips are already cut in the entirety of the ridge lengths, okay? They were not cut in the dormers. We're gonna be adding CertainTeed ridge vent to that space, and we assume we may have to do the same down here. But besides that, the carpentry is already done, right? Because we have our strips cut for ventilation, and we have no areas on any part of this roof deck. You can see I go to the lower main here, and we find the same thing. These boards are very consistent. They're in the same shape that they would be in on the day that they were installed. So there's absolutely zero reason to change any boards. That's good news. We're on a 29 square roof. We're a crew of 9 today. So to find out that we don't have any, extended carpentry work to do is definitely good news. So phase 1 almost complete. We're finishing the tear off. The roof deck is completely intact in all areas. We're finishing this dormer here that's right next to the garage, and we don't assume we're gonna have any problems there because we don't have any problems anywhere else. So we'll finish tearing off, then we'll start to get the entire perimeter dripped out. We have C3.5 white drip edge. We have more than enough for the entire perimeter length. So we'll check back once we have underlayments on and we're completely dripped out, ice and watered, and papered up to the ridge prior to getting shingles on the roof. So stay tuned. Phase 1 almost complete and roof deck completely intact. Happy to report. Also, good news, you can see that the sun is trying to peek its way through. Keep in mind the temperatures did call for it to go up into the 60s today. Although it's going to stay partly cloudy, I have a feeling that that sun's going to peek through and dry up a lot of this moisture. When you can see I'm soaking wet, it was extremely, extremely humid today, like midsummer humidity. So we're drenched from sweat, not rain.